Look, we're stuck in the system, we can't get out. It's time for a change, stop running your mouth. I'm looking for words, but I can't get it out. Look for the light, but the sun blotted out.
Hold on, let me hop on the beat. Cause social injustice and prisoner mindset is something we gotta defeat. We idle these hoes and wear all these clothes with shoes that can't.
It's out of our control. It's not like he wants to kill. He just doesn't want to die. You know what I'm saying? It's that situation when you got, we are living in a war zone. I feel like I can represent my generation so much because I honestly did not care whether I live or die. But now, I cannot die. I can't leave until this straight. You know, I'm not suicidal. I can't go until y'all really know what time it is. And then after that, boom, it's all over. And we can see, you know, how this fall. But that's how it is. And the reason being is because if I can't live free, if I can't live with the same respect as the next man, I don't want to be here. Because God has cursed me to see what life should be like.
I said we ain't no loafers, we ain't no poachers, we ain't no haters of self, we ain't no vultures. This ain't our culture. I said this ain't our culture. I said we ain't no loafers, we ain't no poachers, we ain't no haters of self, we ain't no vultures. This ain't our culture.
This ain't our culture. I said this ain't our culture. Let me know if y'all can hear me real fast. Am I loud and clear? Am I loud and clear? Okay. All right. We're going to pretend that I'm loud and clear. You know what I mean? So top of the top to y'all, first of all. All right. Like I keep saying, I don't know if y'all are listening to the words in that song, but the shit that we are doing, the shit that we are accepting, this is not our culture. This is not our culture. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our disclaimer real fast before we get into this conversation, because this is going to be heavy. All right. So you tapped into the top of the top with King Phillip. You know what I mean? Under the Make a Culture Move podcast, where we talk about the issues within the Black and brown community that we don't say anything about, that we just sweep under the rug and try to pretend like these issues do not exist. All right. When in fact, these issues have become destructive and deadly in our community, and we still act like they do not exist. So with that being said, you know, what we come to the table is our own expertise. We did not need to go out to get facts. We did not need to go out to do studies. We did not need to go out and do all this, that, and the third to become the experts in this right here. All right. We have experience-based lives. All right. We live this. All right. I said all that to also say, if you feel some kind of way, y'all, I'm saying this for a reason, because y'all don't understand how many times that people come up to me like, Phillip, I think when you had said this, I felt like, look, if you feel some type of way about what we say on this podcast, I'm going to ask you politely to take the time to reevaluate why you were feeling that way, why what was said made you feel that way. All right. Because you don't have to come to me, because I'm going to just look at you like, really, nigga? Like, come on, man. Like, really? All right. But saying all that to say, too, you know what I mean? We're going to have a conversation. All right. So let's go ahead and do our quick little spiel. Y'all know the rundown. You know what I mean? Y'all, if y'all don't, you know what I mean? Get used to it. But if you haven't, go check out the website, makeachessmove.org. You know, there's a donation tab on there. Click the donation tab. There's a toolkit on the donation page. Click that toolkit. Copy and paste the text, copy and paste a picture, and send that to your contacts, send that to your friends, text it, email, post on your social medias. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, with organizations, nonprofits, and we're small too, that shit goes a long way. You know what I mean? And that's Godzilla. You know, so I'm gonna thank you right now. I thank you. All right. Period. You know, I told you I was gonna thank you right now. Sure. All right. If you haven't, go check out the Macam page on Facebook, /Macam303. Check out the Instagram, /Macam303. Check out the Twitter, /Macam303. And y'all know we got a Pinterest, you know what I mean? /Macam303. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and jump into this conversation. But before I go ahead and jump into this conversation, let's go ahead and bring our guest. Let's go ahead and bring our guest to the forefront. Let's go ahead and bring our guest to the forefront. So last week, we had both of them in. You know, my man James, he been rocking for this for about 3 weeks now. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Then Nisha, she been rocking with us since last week. You know, she like, she been tapping in like, I don't like what y'all got to say about black women. You know what I mean? Considering y'all ain't got no pussies between y'all's legs. So let me go ahead and tap in and let y'all know how I feel about that being a black woman. You know what I mean? All right, and she got more than just the, you know what I mean, between the legs too. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. Quick introductions. Can we do some quick introductions, please?
Absolutely. So, James, I'll go first. So, I am Nisha. I've got a background in relationships and mental health. I work in the IT field, and I'm happy to be here.
James Harvey. I represent the east side of Denver, Colorado. I own a small moving company, one of the best in the state. I'm also a real estate agent. So, just here for some great commentary because it's needed in the community.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So y'all know which way we're going with this. You know, I was just saying this morning, like, when it comes to black love, you know what I mean? And when it comes to the culture, you know, one big issue that we laid on is the black and the man and the woman, how they must be in unison. You know what I mean? And somewhere, some along these lines, we lost that connection. You know, so to the point where this morning, you know, we talking about black love and what that looks like. Because me myself, I'm giving y'all just from my experience too. I don't know what black love looks like. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what, because when it comes to what we've seen, what we've experienced, you know, even looking at the movies growing up, you know, we see what is that, Love Jones, you know, we seen Love and Basketball, you know what I mean? We see these kind of black love movies and stuff like that, and we kind of think that's what it is. That's what we kind of want goals to be and shit like that, you know, but in true reality, what is black love? You know, I'm saying that to the point. Is it a unicorn? Is it a myth? Does it exist? How y'all feel?
I
What
think
y'all
it
think?
exists.
Give
I
it
think it
to me.
exists.
Nation.
I think it's hard to find, though. I think Black love is a struggle. It's not what you see on TV. It's not what's on posters and movies and what things portray online. Like, I think that that is a real cancer in our culture. Like, we've got to get away from romanticizing what Hollywood shows us because those are white people making movies for our entertainment. And yes, those are good movies and things. Absolutely, they entertain us, but that's not what it actually is. So we
So
need to
what is
look a little deeper.
And I think one of the biggest things when you bring a wide concept or a concept like that is so big into the picture, the first thing that I'd like to say is that I don't think that you can generalize it to fit everybody. You know what I mean? I think love is different for everyone. So I mean, us sitting even here trying to analyze what black love is for every black person, I don't think it's possible. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I would like to say. I think at the end of the day, love is about love is different from different people, different relationships, and it takes two individuals coming together or bringing their ideas, their what I mean, the what they've developed over the years or as children into the relationship and trying to see if they can make that work together or if that's something that they want to work together. But I don't think that you can just define black love for all black people.
so what would you say it is though? What is it? If you was
Nisha?
to say what it looks like to you, because even with you too, James, you saying you can't define it. You know what I mean? Like you can't like it looks different in each black couple in each relationship. You know what I mean? What exactly does it look like? What is it? Go ahead, Nisha.
Well, I don't think that love is so much a feeling and so much an emotion it is an action. I think love is receiving what it is that you need from your partner, whatever that is. Reassurance, someone providing for you, someone, take pulling up the rears for what you are or are not able to do. It's more of what you're giving to that person, what it is that they need. And then, like James said, that varies from relationship to relationship. We don't all necessarily need the same things, but we all need something. So love is providing your partner with what it is that they need.
I mean, that's you know how I feel. I'm gonna push it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna push it. Um, Um, what did Will Smith do wrong?
With his entanglement with Jay.
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about? I don't think he
yeah.
did anything wrong. I don't think that he did anything wrong at all. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for this, but I don't think Jada did anything wrong either. I don't. I think that she needed something from August that Will was not giving her. And not to say that he wasn't giving it to her unwillingly. It's possible that it was something that he didn't provide. And I mean, I don't know, right? Because we don't know all the details. But again, like that that's where that fine line is between like that love and then like lust and self needs, because on the outside it would look like she's getting everything that she needs from Will. They've got a great life, they're famous, they're a beautiful couple and all this, but there may have been something internal. She was internalizing something that maybe Will just could not get to. And so I guess I can take back, as far as she did something wrong, I don't think her actions were necessarily wrong, but perhaps she should have communicated a little bit better to Will, because it may have been something that he may have been willing to work on to provide to her as her partner. But I don't think that he did anything wrong. I don't blame him at all. Absolutely not. So while we're
You know,
waiting on
so
him, Phillip, what did Will do wrong?
I
I'll
mean,
ask you.
you know, it's I mean, to my point, I don't think I'm gonna say it like this. I don't think that she would have been able to took it like he took it. You know, he took it on the chin like a G. You know what I mean? To the point of, you know, a lot of men, they can't take another dude hopping in their girlfriend's inbox, their wife's inbox, especially if their wife or their girlfriend is very attractive. They can't take another nigga seeing their wife or girlfriend attractive. You know what I mean? And for Will to be able to take that on the chin, you know, like I said, I think he took that like a G, but at the same time, too, I think, you know, with the move, it was very selfish, you know, because I'm looking at, if something like that is going to happen, let's look at how it's going to help build a foundation, how it's going to help build the situation, how it's going to help build, you know, some kind of solidity in between the whole unit. You know what I mean? And when I say the unit, I'm not just looking at Will and Jada. You know, they got kids and shit too. They got a family, they got a legacy that they leaving behind. You know what I mean? So when I'm looking at it like that, I'm saying, you know what I mean, like what outside of it that you get besides your cheeks clapped, you know what I mean? You know, what else came out of it?
But I don't. It's not always like you're going back to sex. Like I don't think that it was all sex. She had established some type of connection with him, and yes, she was very selfish because she looked outside the relationship for something that she should have been able to find within. But it's not all just always about sex. Sometimes that's just the byproduct of the situation. And while you're saying like, Will, he took it very well. He composed himself. He's an actor. We don't know how that man acted when them cameras went off. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? He's
yeah,
paid to pretend to be something he's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
So,
I mean, shit, he put on a hell of a show. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I was
Doesn't
saying,
he
James.
always? He
Yeah, I
delivers. He's a
was.
good actor.
I was saying, James. What did Will do anything wrong? What did Will do anything wrong? Excuse me.
Man, you know what? I can't say that. You know what?
Eh,
At the end of the day, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about black relationships. For
That's what.
one, you have to define your relationship and what it looks like to you. Now, for me, you know what I mean? I think that relationship or that
I can't hear him.
Your volume came out.
in the limelight with the children that she has. It was completely disrespectful to me. You know what I mean? To have something like that come out into the public view.
So you think that just because it came out, that's what made it nah, you was good. I have a You might have a delayed response. Yeah, he might have a delayed response. You know what I mean? But I mean, even coming back to it too, because he keeps saying, you know, with black love and stuff. Is that it though? Is that it? Like you said that we have to you said that we just in terms of how they handled it, is that it? What is, I'm still trying to get what is black love, because I got my questions too. I got my questions too, but these are I'm trying to get what is black love right now. And you know what I mean? My man James, he's like it looks different in every way, but is there a general, you know what I mean? Is there a general census of what black love is?
There can't be a general census on what black love is. We were all raised differently in different. We all were raised in different households. We all saw completely different things. Some of us were raised by a single woman. Some of us were raised by both parents. Some of us were raised by a father. So I mean, all of that is going to affect how you view love, how you see love, all of that. So once again, if you're going to talk about love, then love is commitment. Love is it is actually you guys trying to come together and contribute in a meaningful way to each other that you guys can both agree with. You know what I'm saying? I think that love isn't two people continuously bumping heads in a relationship and never can find an agreement on anything. You know what I'm saying? I think
I
that
mean,
once
but
you
that's the thing. We know what it is. I mean, we know what it isn't.
Mhm.
We
Right.
know what it isn't. But you
Yeah,
can't tell me clearly what it is. But you can tell me
communication.
clearly what it isn't.
No, not everything that I said that it isn't. You know what I'm saying? It's two people bumping heads. So we're talking about communication. We're talking about understanding. You know what I mean? We're talking about at the end of this self-sacrifice, for another person. Like those are things that are fit in there. I don't know what you're asking, what does black love? Like when you ask that question, are you saying, should I be coming home and laying up underneath my girl? You know what I mean? Is it how many times we kiss? You know what I mean? How you know what with you, that question is so general. You know what I mean? What are you saying? There's so many different aspects of a relationship. There's mental, there's physical, there's religious, views on relationships. So you know what I mean. You can't generalize all these different aspects of a relationship. You know what I mean. So when you ask that question, what are you asking it for? Are you saying
There we
what does
go.
black love mean as far as sex? Are you saying what does black love mean as far as raising kids? Are you saying as far what does black love mean as far as us learning together? Like you got to bring that question down a little bit.
Okay.
Mhm.
So with Valentine's Day being right around the corner, you know what I mean? When and love is of the essence. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the whole shebang, you know, all in one sense. So like when people say for you, when people say Michael Jordan is the GOAT, you know what I mean? What classifies him as the GOAT?
Got you. All right. And Nathan, I want to more ask you, P. What is your idea of black love? You know what I mean? In your own household, what do you see or what do you view as positive black love or something that you would want for yourself? And then I can tell you specifically what I want for myself.
Mm. I mean, and that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know because I never seen it.
I got you.
Like my example of it is not something that I want. I don't think that's our culture. I don't think that when it comes to black love, we are and aren't supposed to be doing certain shit. For example, my grandma, my grandpa, they raised me once my mom and my dad, you know what I mean? Boom. So to saying all that to say, I was in their household. I was with them for over 20 years and they never slept in the same bed. They had their own rooms. You know what I mean? I heard my grandma, Al, you ain't shit. All you do is eat, sleep, and shit. You know what I mean? That type of stuff, but they stayed together. Even looking at my mom and my dad, their relationship, I never seen them together at all before both of them passed. You know what I mean? Looking at my homeboys and their relationship, I know one of my homeboys out of the 13 homies I got tatted on me, he's married. He's been married for, I mean, he's the only one out of all of us who did it right. You know what I mean? And I mean, get married first, then have kids, and they still married, got a house, and doing the thing. You know what I mean? But again, we don't see what goes on behind closed doors as well. So what keeps black love like that thing like I'm saying I don't know what it is. What keeps it
So with
together?
that said,Nej, I think what he's saying is, what do you need? I think that's the first thing. What are your needs? What do you want from another person, another party in a relationship? So Nej, let me ask you that question. What do you want from a man? What do you need from a man to make a relationship work?
And be balanced. So for me, that's what black love would be, is balance. Because you don't want to. I don't want to do everything, and I don't want him to do everything. We've got to find some compromise. So black love for me is compromise, balance, some understanding, patience, us working together. And that was what I was trying to say, like in the beginning. Like I agree with James. Like it can't be just universally defined because it's going to look different for each relationship. So even like what you feel like with your grandparents, my grandparents were the same way. Like my grandma had her own room, my grandpa did, and that was just normal for me growing up. I didn't know, anything different. So for them though, that black love was some sacrifice because even, through all the BS that they may have dealt with, there was something between the two of them that kept them together. They fed off of each other. My grandfather provided something to my grandma, or I would assume she wouldn't have stayed, and vice versa. So even though they weren't doing the stereotypical things, the things that Hollywood tells us are normal and okay, they loved each other in their way because they were getting something from each other that they couldn't get somewhere else.
Now, P, let me jump in there because I'm gonna give you what you want. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you what you want. P want to dive in there. He like, what is black love? All right, I'm gonna tell you what it looks like to me, and I'm gonna give you, bro. I've had 6 qualifications because, bro, I think about what I need. I think about what is gonna make me stay in a relationship. What's gonna keep me? What's gonna make me come back year after year, decade after decade to make this work? I need 6 things. I need a woman who cooks, cleans, works, works out, reads something every now and again, and then we gotta have you. You gotta fuck me. We gotta have a good sex life. Those are my 6 qualifications. Now, with every one of those qualifications, anybody watching this, I want you to understand that those are the things that I'm willing to give back. So also, if I ask a woman that I want a woman to clean, that means I'll also clean. I want a woman to cook, that means I'll also handle some of that stuff. But those 6 things are what I almost think are almost the basis of a lot of relationships, like the basis of what you're asking. What does it take? And that's just for me. I don't know if anybody agrees. I say cooks because if we got to eat out all the time and my kids can't get a home cooked meal, what does that look like? You know what I'm saying? That's unhealthy. Cleanliness is next to godliness. As men and women, we need to make sure that we are clean. Works. I have a little girl. I want a woman who can give her a good example, show her that you're not just going to stay up underneath a man, you know what I mean, that you can go out here and get some things for yourself. Reads, I need a woman that wants to educate herself. And you ain't got to pick up a big 500-page book, but I want you to read something, a magazine, a small book, something to educate yourself every now and again. Works out. I don't see how people think that relationships are going to be maintained if we're not maintaining our sexy for each other and making sure that we're motivating each other. And then once again, the sex thing, bro. Like I I need a good sex life, you know what I mean, in order to maintain myself. And that don't mean nothing crazy. I ain't gotta have sex every day, but a couple times a week, you know what I mean? Actually, us, you know what I'm saying? Like really pushing for each other to, you know what I'm saying? Show that we really want each other and all of those things. But bro, that's what love literally, if you want to break it down for me, I take it from the feeling. I'm gonna break it down and tell you exactly what I need to make this work on a daily basis. And those are my 6 qualifications.
So with that being said, too, with it just being put that plain and simple, Tanisha, would if he was to be like, okay, these are my 6 qualifications I need from you, would that be easy?
Actually, he's not asking for a lot. He's not. But I just want, those, that's not love. Those are your need to get to the love. Like I feel like the reason that love is so hard to define is because of the very nature of what it is. It's something more. It's something from within. Like you've got a great list. Those are your standards and qualifications. That's the bare minimum of what he will deal with. And then of course, I'm sure he's got other things that he's going to grow from on top of that. There are other bigger things, but those are basics just to get in the door. That's your qualifications. Do you qualify for this job, or can you this, or can you do that? So that's where he starts, but that's not what's going to make him love that woman. That's not what that's not where his love is coming from. That is something else. Those are just the things to get her in the door.
I can't really say that. You know what I mean? And one place that one thing that I honestly say that I disagree, and this is where I think the conversation between love is so hard to have. So you're talking about love as a feeling. I'm talking about love as a verb. You know what I mean? Meaning action. You know what I'm saying? I think love is a feeling gets in the way of us making good decisions, you know what I'm saying, for the future. You know what I mean? Now what I do agree that, like, what I just said is not the complete picture of love. Obviously, there has to be something internal. You know what I'm saying? An internal feeling that I have for this person, you know what I'm saying, that makes me want to be with them forever. And then those 6 qualifications kind of add to, all right, this is how we maintain this. So I do agree with that. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that that's not love. I think that we as Black people view love as some mystical like standpoint, when I think really it's more of a verb, and it's more based upon the actions and the things that you do. If you're doing all 6 of those things for me, you know what I'm saying, and you're doing them willingly, and you know what I'm saying, with the heart that says not just for me but for you, but also to say I'm doing this because I want to make my spouse better, that to me is love. You know what I'm saying? Because even with Phillip saying, like, I don't think that I'm asking for a lot, but unfortunately, if I'm not asking for a lot, then I should be able to find a situation real easy. But so to me, I ain't gonna lie, those 6 qualifications have been very hard, you know what I'm saying, to find in, you know what I'm saying, one person. You know what I mean? 100%. So I mean, I'm not gonna like you know, those things aren't, I know they're not easy. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how people were raised at the end of the day. But you know what I'm saying? It's been hard for me to find somebody who really adheres to that type of stuff and wants to keep it in their own life on a daily basis.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let me go ahead and tap in real fast, man. We got some G, first of all, G said Will cheated first, all right? Just to put that out there, all right?
Just
So
so we're
Nisha,
clear.
Lorenzo, he say if the roles were reversed and Will did the exact same thing as Jada, would you support and defend Will the same way? Would you argue that Jada was not providing something for Will? Mm,
Absolutely. Because the pendulum swings both ways. I absolutely would.
period.
Hmm.
Now
Period.
let me, yeah, I got you.
Period. Nah, you got something?
I
What you
just
got?
didn't. I ain't chime in on Will and Jada. You know what I'm saying? Now this, my only thing with them, man, is like, you know, once again. So I had a cousin, and they had, you know, him and his wife. They had 4 beautiful kids. You know what I mean? They were together for 10 years. I'll never forget. I went to the club one night, and I see this woman. You know what I'm saying? She's out. She partying with another man. Little did I know that their relationship had kind of gone a whole different way. You know what I'm saying? So I really couldn't judge her. I hadn't really been, you know what I'm saying, privy to what was happening in their relationship. But unfortunately, I'm like, why would you have 3, 4 kids, be married to somebody for 10 years, and then decide, oh, I don't want to live this life. I'm ready to get out here and get in the club and all that type of stuff. I think that Jada could have done her thing, but I think that she could have definitely did it without it getting into the public light how it did. I have
Hmm.
no respect for that. You know what I'm saying? As rich as she is, as famous as she is, you know what I mean? You can express your love, even if you got a feelings for August. You can express that without it coming to the light how it did. And that's where I think that she was completely. I mean, like I said, I think the situation was disrespectful. I think about if that was my mother, you know what I'm saying? And I had to hear about my mother cheating on my father with some young man that I introduced her to. Like, I have no respect for what Jada did. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care where she was in a relationship. I think she played herself like a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. And I say that from the
Like
standpoint of
a
her
whole
kids.
sucker.
Like a whole sucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your kids are watching you. You know what I'm saying? This shit affects people more than what they can let the public know. You know what I'm saying? If you got to watch your mother and then see your father hurt on TV going through, that's
All the
not
memes.
that's not the medium where this stuff should be playing out. We shouldn't be playing out Black relationships in a public view. This is stuff that's supposed to happen behind closed doors. Even with me and my child's mom, once again, like, we have serious issues. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that I wouldn't adhere to my responsibility to her. But regardless of that, and even if I'm not even wrong in going out and seeking refuge in other places every now and again, yo, everybody ain't gonna hear about it. Everybody ain't gonna know about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a baby and I got to be respectful about this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I do think she definitely did some wrong stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't like how she played the situation as far as Will being wrong. And this is why Will say he's wrong. He should have never got on public and sat there with that woman and went through that situation.
All
All
right.
of that stuff is supposed to be happening behind closed doors. And I have no respect for them doing that in public.
Period. What he said. Sure. All right. Let's tap in. G, she still asks what is love. You know what I mean? Generally speaking. Ask for what you can provide, after your six you had shared with you, balance each other out, maintain the basics. That's dope. My man Renzo, he said, James, I agree with you. To me, love is a state of being. It is unconditional. I can love anyone. A relationship, however, is a choice. And I agree with your six conditions. So then, beautiful Miss Nisha, how do we as women recognize love? Oh, I think that's after you said that's not love after he listed his conditions. And then she said, Mr. James, as a black man, how can you recognize when a black woman is a stranger to love? Ooh. All right. So
That's a
first,
good question.
so Nisha, you know what I mean? Let's go ahead and get into it. So Nisha, after
How
you
do we
said
recognize?
his six conditions, after you shitted on his six conditions and
I did
said that
not.
ain't
No,
love.
Shit, shit, I got you.
qualifications.
All
I
right.
absolutely did no such thing.
All right. So how do we? She asked, how do we as women recognize love?
Well,
And
okay,
this is
so
coming from a 22-year-old young woman.
I think for me specifically, I will be able to recognize love when I no longer have to ask for what it is that I need, because my man and I are in tune with each other enough that he recognizes those things, that he's anticipating my needs, my wants, my moves. When I don't have to verbalize it over and over and over because something is finally clicked and he's finally getting it, that's when I recognize love. That's when I know that that's love.
Okay. Okay. Anything on that, James? You know what I mean?
No. I got you. I hear on that. You know what I'm
I
saying? I
mean
think
that's
that,
that.
yeah.
I mean that's like that to me. I was like, oh goodness, that seems like it's asking a whole lot when it's not. You know what I mean?
That's not, yeah.
You know, so yeah, go ahead, Mr. James. As a black man, how can you recognize when a black woman is a stranger to love?
Okay. So when you ask that question once again, now you take me back to what is love to her. So okay, and this is why you have to understand and study the people that you're actually trying to be with. I've been with different women, and different women have different qualifications and different understandings of what love is, and you can't give all women the same things. You know what I mean, bro? And I hate to say this, some people have been brought up in abusive relationships to where they think that conflict means that you're in love. You know what I'm saying? They think that yelling back and forth and the man and the wife going, you know what I'm saying, going butting heads and arguing, that's just a normal part of life. You know what I mean? You have people who, you know what I'm saying, if you too soft, you know what I mean, they'll take advantage of you because they see you soft and they don't think that, you know what I'm saying, that's really what love is. So the first thing that I would say that I have to do is I have to pay attention to my idea of love, and is the person I'm talking to responsive to that idea of love. So, if I'm with a woman and I'm touchy feely, or we hanging out, we might be cuddling, doing something like that. All women ain't necessarily into that. You know what I mean? I think that once again, this all comes back to human nature and us getting outside of ourselves and trying to understand the other person. I think that's the biggest thing that we could that stops relationships, because we come into it expecting this person to love the way that we love, and that's not what's going to happen. So when she asked that question, I think it's body language, it's you know what I mean, it's emotions, it's how a woman speaks to let you know if she's responsive to the way that you're giving her love. You know what I mean? I think that's easy to spot if you're really paying attention and you really care about those things. Now, if you come into the situation where it's like, you know what, once again, these are like, once again, my six qualifications. I can't just come into relationships like, well, this is it. And you know what I mean, get out of here if you ain't with it. Because you know, the first thing that I need to do is honestly view what their qualifications are. So, you know, I say for one, body language, how somebody speaks, how somebody is responsive to you, you know what I mean? And just paying attention to all those cues and nonverbal cues and body language and stuff of that nature.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you came up with those six qualifications?
Bro, I've had those six qualifications since I was about 25 years old, bro.
Okay.
100%.
And how flexible are you with those qualifications?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you right now that like I've been flexible. I think that's one of the things with even me and my child's mom is because you know, I think that if you been some ways like on those six qualifications, I'm serious. I think that if you don't have those things, I don't even think that they're necessarily my qualifications. I think that's damn near universally what people need in order, you know what I'm saying, to start kind of maneuvering. You know what I mean? Now, like Nasia said, there's a lot more than that. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, but at the end of the day, man, I'm not gonna say that. If you don't, I would say I'm definitely a little bit lenient on some of them. Like some of them mean a little bit more to me. Like I'll sacrifice you not making me dinner if we having a great sex life. You know, I can find a way to make some food. I'll cook more if we having a great sex life. You feel me? Like plays a big role for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie. And but it's not just that, you know what I'm saying? It's all of these things entwined. But I don't think that, man, I think that when I bent on those six things have been some of the main issues in my relationship.
Mm, okay. Okay. So what's the deal breaker? Just in terms of you know, in terms of, I mean, like you listed it, you know what I mean, and that question is more towards you, Tanisha. What's the deal breaker just for you? Like again, we looking in the strength of, you know, Valentine's Day coming up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What is a deal breaker?
A deal breaker for me is a lack of communication. If I can't talk to you, if we can't find middle ground, if we can't understand each other, if you can't verbally communicate to me how you may be feeling, inside, what you're thinking about certain things about me or situations we're dealing with or whatnot, I can't. I cannot. That's a deal breaker for me.
Mm. You know, there's a lot of, I like to say there's a lot of pressure on us men, you know, when it comes to having sex. You know what I mean? Is there like an expected time limit for us men when we are expected to give it up? I'm put that
When you're
question out
expected to
there.
give it
You know
up,
what I mean?
okay.
Because the
Run that
thing is,
question by again.
I mean, the thing is, people they tend to think that, you know, giving having sex is always in the female's control. You know what I mean? I've been called
Mm-hmm.
gay one time because I didn't want to bone a chick. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, my thing is, I'm like the opposite of James. You know what I mean? I would talk. I would rather get to know you. You know what I mean? I would do something. You know what I mean? We can bone, we can have sex, but that's like shit. What we gonna do when we get older? What
Right.
else is gonna be there? You know what I mean? What else is gonna be there? You know, not to say that I'm
Exactly.
lacking anywhere. You know what I mean? I ain't saying I'm lacking anywhere. You know, I'm saying all that to say, you know, um, if we were to shift that, if we were to shift that, when is is there an appropriate time for the man to be expected to have sex? Looking at our sons right now.
I don't think so. And that's funny that you brought that up because I was actually having that conversation with a gentleman yesterday, last night, and time is relative, right? So I think that we put too much weight on it just in the sense of what it is. And we're always looking at some invisible clock that's counting down. And I don't think that time on its own is as important as what you're doing with that time and who you are doing it with. Some people, some women go through that whole 90-day rule stuff and then they have sex with the dude and then they still don't talk to him the day after. That's it. So you did that whole 90 days and didn't get nowhere. Some women meet a guy, they hit it off, their chemistry's good, they have sex at night, and they still married 20 years later. So time is relative. It's about that connection. It's again, it goes like what I was saying. It's, are you being fulfilled? Are you getting what you need from that person in your time of need, in that season of need, whatever that looks like for you, whatever it is that you need as an individual, are you receiving that from another person? If you are, great. And if you're not, are you guys willing to do the work to get to that point? Or is that where you stop and say, okay, this is not going to work for us?
Man, I agree with you 100%. And I love the one thing that you just said, that is time is relative. Like, that's my other thing, P, because I hear you. You know, see, this is my thing, because I've thought about all of this stuff too, you know what I mean? And I think that you definitely should get to know people. But like you said, shit, we could wait a year, get to know each other, and then the sex might be weak. You know what I mean? And then how do you know what I'm saying? How do you make that situation work? You know what I'm saying? Like, it all depends on that
Exactly.
connection 100%. I agree with her. Like, you could have sex tonight and be with your soulmate, you know what I mean? Or you could wait 90 days and, like she said, and end up with somebody that you don't even really vibe with. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, like, my question, P, is how do you balance that? Let me ask you that. What do you think? How do you balance that? And from a sense of, you know, I want to be fulfilled in all ways. At the same time, I don't want sex to get into the way of our other connection. But, you know, how much does sex matter to you in a relationship?
Oh man, I'm looking at how do you balance that? Because I look at too, I know that sex do make things complicated. You know what I mean? You can have a great relationship with a woman, and then the moment that y'all do take it to that next level, everything is just array now. You know what I mean? And looking at that balance, one thing that I try to do is I try to um I don't, I don't mess with women who I work with. You know what I mean? So I always try to work with women who I find extra attractive. You know what I mean? Just to get that off my board. Because I don't want to mess with you. But I'm saying that to say too, um, I haven't found that balance. Me having that balance is me going and putting all my time into work. Me being celibate. Me just having these conversations, just getting what I need out of these conversations. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know if that's a good balance. I don't know if that's, you know what I mean, right for me, right for other parties or what.
Nasia,
So
what's a healthy sexual balance for you? Because I'll share mine, but I want to find out from y'all. Like, what's a healthy sexual balance? That's the question that you're asking, that I'm almost asking.
That is a good question. And it's
honestly
one that's
too.
hard to answer because I share a lot of the same sentiments with Phillip, and I'm actually practicing celibacy right now myself. And I just, because I don't know, like for me, there's got to be something more than sex. Like sex is too easy, right? That's purely physical. That's, getting to that climax and releasing, whatever it is. But there's got to be something else. So I feel like maybe if I was going to answer that in any type of way, I would say that it's a balance between, if I'm being fulfilled mentally and emotionally, then let's top it off with the physical. But that's not where I start. That's not enough for me. It never has been.
Problem with that answer is because it's so general that I don't think that any man can figure out what that means. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm being handled the correctly, physically and or emotionally and psychologically, but you have to, like, that can mean so many things for so many women. Does that mean that, you just want it? Once again, you want to cuddle underneath your man, you know what I'm saying, that night and watch a movie? Does that mean that you want a man that you're reading a book with and y'all discuss different philosophies? Does that mean, you know what I'm saying, that you want to be taken out, you know what I'm saying, a couple of times a week to dance and to smile and to be shown off so you can dress up, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's another reason why I have my 6 qualifications, so I can tell somebody exactly. And what's so crazy is that I love what she just said too, like mentally and all of that different type of stuff. That's why I put reading and all of that stuff within my qualifications, Because if you are actually doing something mentally, you know what I'm saying, to grow yourself, then it's going to boil over in your relationship. There's no way that y'all can both be sitting around reading, learning, and then not sharing that stuff with each other. That's why I almost think that my 6 qualifications do fit within that. If you're cooking, preparing a great meal for a man, that shows that he loved you. You love him. If he does the same, that shows some love. Like all of this stuff, especially in those 6 qualifications, keeping a clean house, all of those different things, I think do actually satisfy people in a mental, in a
Yeah.
physical, in all those different ways. But
I mean,
I just want women to be more general. Like, what do you really need? Because you know what I'm saying. Until we dial in on that, we just all kind of playing with no idea where to
yeah.
go.
I mean, and to be honest with you too, that my mind frame has shifted once I realized that, it wasn't even hard to go out there and get pussy. You know what I mean?
Love
Like,
that.
the women, they were hawking us down like we were supposed to be hawking them down type shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, this shit ain't even right. You know what I mean? So that's when I had came back to like, man, this ain't it. You know what I mean? So do I want to keep putting myself out there when I know this ain't it? I can continue to rock them off, but I'm like, what is going to happen? What is going to come from this when I know me and I know this ain't it? You know what I mean? And that's time wasted. As you know what I mean. So another big part of it came down to once I had identified my love languages. You know what I mean? What I can, what I identify most, what I need most in my love life. You know what I mean? It made it easier for me to figure out who's who. Because if I know my love language is quality time and physical touch, and if I know that somebody loves to receive gifts or words of affirmation, and those are my bottoms, then that shit ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? So again, that's coming back down to your qualification, your 6 qualifications. And I know one of my, it's crazy that I'm this way, but looking at the qualifications and stuff too, I'm not a big church person at all. I don't believe in religion, but I always go for women who are, very into church. You know what I mean? Like Omni, she takes our kids to church every Sunday. Give them that background, give them that foundation. You know what I mean? So, um, and I don't put up no argument, I don't fight or nothing like that. But it's interesting just hearing that too, because I want to ask you, where did faith come in the six? Is there, you know what I mean, a relationship with God and the women who you talk to? Is that a consideration?
I think 100%. You know what I mean? Once again, like, all right, so especially and then going back, when I add reading and all that type of stuff in there, that includes everything. So that includes like, the Bible, that includes religion, you know what I'm saying? All of those different philosophies. I think at the end of the day, having some sort of mental connection, because I'm not religious either, but I also believe in the foundation. So I also believe in my child going to church because I believe, and what the foundation that it can bring to the child, and their upbringing. So I think that that's good. You know what I'm saying? 100%. But all the same, I'm not a partaker in any religion, but I definitely believe in, meditating with your woman, praying with your woman. You know what I'm saying? Actually sitting there and trying to meet minds 100%. I think that that definitely folds into a relationship in order to bring you guys closer.
That's a bet. Let me
Mhm.
tap in real fast. So G, she said, why is it okay for women to hold that standard, but not men? Young girls are taught their bodies are temples, so are the bodies of young men, young boys. I don't know why that. I mean, that's something that we have adapted into our culture. You know what I mean? So even looking at the conversations with my son, I'm gonna have, I have a 17, she'll be 18 this year, daughter. And the conversations that I'm having with her about relationships, about boys and stuff like that, and I'm just looking at the conversations that I'm gonna have with my sons as well, just so that they can know like that is, you hold on to that. You know what I mean? That's precious. You don't just give it away. And so I understand completely what you mean by that. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm.
she also asked to all the statement, "It's just sex." How do y'all feel about that? It's just sex. How do y'all feel about that?
Nasia, I'll let you do your thing.
Well, I'm trying to dissect her question because I mean, it's just sex in what context? Because like if you're saying it just on a broad term, yeah, sex is just sex. Sex is not love. Sex is not security. Sex is not emotion. Sex is not necessarily the things that will that'll ground your foundation. Sex can be just sex, but that's when you have to look at yourself as a person. You have to look within and say, is that all I need? Is there something more? What else is there to it? Because sex is just sex. If there's not anything behind it, there's nothing.
I agree with you. 100% even asking it just, talking about that question, is it just sex? I think there definitely is more to a relationship. Like, once again, and it ain't just me, you know what I'm saying? Any woman that mentally stimulates me and then we have good sex, oh man, come on now. That's the ultimate reality. You know what I mean? I think that that's what we all want from a woman, from a man. But at the same time, so I'm gonna throw this in there, especially talking about sex. And I'm gonna throw this in there because I want to see what y'all say, the difference even between white women and some black women. I found because of, most black women's upbringing and, a lack of a man in the household, that black women are more apt to be a lot more emotional about sex also, meaning that when they do have sex with a man, you know what I mean, that usually almost means like, I want to be with you, you know what I'm saying? This is more. I haven't found, that's just my experience with black women. Now on the flip side, my experience with white women, just because more that I've dealt with have had both parents there, the mother, the father, I think that they kind of have a more realistic view of what a man is, you know what I'm saying? From a standpoint of, I've watched my father, I've seen what's been going on. And I say that just because with white women, even when, and I'm talking about more, especially when I was young, they're more apt to not necessarily pressure a relationship or not necessarily pressure, you know what I'm saying, being with a man just because they have sex. I found that they can have sex and kind of separate the emotional from it a little bit better than black women. And the reason what's kind of weird to me is because you would assume that, you know what I'm saying, because of that means that they don't necessarily want to be married and want to be with one man. But the marriage statistics for obviously white people are a lot higher than ours. You know what I'm saying? So my
Mhm.
question is like, is the fact that we view sex as such a mental and such a otherworldly thing get in the way of enjoying ourselves, having fun. Now I'm not saying don't do it responsibly, but what I'm saying is that, are we holding sex in too high of an esteem to where we do, when it does happen, and it can end up becoming more of a problem than, what I'm saying, a way to, what I'm saying, let your hair down or relax.
Dang. It's crazy that you had said that with the white girls, because I remember I had two of them at the same time, and they knew about each other. I told them about each other, and they was cool with it. I know for damn well that wouldn't have worked with two black women.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? So I mean, and it's crazy, but coming back to G's question too, you know, when I was younger, yes, sex is just sex. And even right now too, I try to instill in my daughter right now, you travel, you go live, go experience the world, be safe. You know what I mean? And at that same in the same time too, you know, I don't want her to get too attached to any nigga right now, especially when I know a nigga ain't don't want nothing but it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, shit, build up a roster. Build up a
So
roster.
James, what your example with the white, like, okay, so it's a two-part thing. So first of all, going back to the sex being sex thing, like I absolutely agree with you that for the black woman, there may be more emphasis on the emotion and everything being there as the backup with the sex. It's there for support. And the example that I would use is, a couple years ago, I dated a man and was absolutely crazy about him. Like there was nothing that I wouldn't have did for him. I loved everything about him. So when we had sex, it was intense. It was great, at least in my mind. And it was the emotion that I realized later that made that so good, right? So we crossed paths about a year and a half ago or whatnot, and so you're thinking like, sure, why not? It was garbage because those feelings weren't there anymore because I didn't feel what I had felt before, and it was eye opening for me though actually, and it was a little traumatizing because after it's all said and done and he left and everything, I was just like, was it always that bad? And it was just love that made me not realize that because obviously we broke up for whatever reasons. Like he wasn't the best guy, but at the time going through it with him, like I said, like I was in love with him, and I think it was that love that made it feel so good. Once all that was taken away and I was just seeing him as a person that I could satisfy some needs with, it was horrible. I felt like it was a waste of time, and I don't want to say that to necessarily bash him or say that his sex game was weak or whatever, but there was nothing there. It was empty. And so when you're talking about the comparison between black women and white women, I think that that's a cultural thing too, because with white women, like, so my best friend is white. So I've got this little, insider look on their culture and how they do things. Marriage and love and family and stuff is an entitlement to them. That's something that in their culture and the way they're raised and the things that they deal with, that's something that's just gonna it's part of their progression. It's just one of the steps, in their road. They're going to get married. So it doesn't matter if she's out there doing the most, she's having a good time, she's fucking Phillip with her homegirl, doing the most and just having all this fun, because that the rest of the stuff, those goals of having marriage, having the house, having the dog, that's gonna just come. And we know that of white people, looking from the outside, looking in, like they get married, like yeah, they divorce a lot of stuff, but then what do they do when they divorce? They get married again. But for black people, for us, with our culture, it's a little different. It's hard. So like, damn, maybe you do want to be out there doing the most and whatnot, but you got to really think about, like, is this gonna get me where I actually want to go? Because marriage is not an entitlement for us. Like I grew up, I never went to a wedding. I've been to more funerals than I've been to weddings. I can count on my hand how many black people I've seen married. But like my white friends stuff from college and high school stuff, shit, it's nothing. It's something. It's like, hey, babe, we got a wedding this weekend. You want to go? And you're like, sure. But then for us, it's like, hey, babe, did you hear what happened to such and such? Are we going to drive up there and go to the funeral? That's what we're entitled to. We're entitled to death. They love is just, it's already there for them. They're not worried about what is my future husband going to think of this? How am I going to do that? They're just, they're out there just living life because that's an entitlement that they've been born with that we don't have that luxury of. So everything with us has to be a calculated move, because whether you guys want to admit it or not, you guys are judging us too. That's a lot of pressure on that. Like a man he'll dismiss a woman that has a past and then wind up shacking up with a bitch that ain't got no future. That don't make no sense. But that's the reality of our culture.
Man, it's
Hey,
crazy.
hold on real
No,
fast.
do your thing, bro.
Go ahead, check it out. So that last part, I don't know if y'all heard that last part that she had just said. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all heard that last part she had just said.
I heard it.
Loud and clear. You know what I mean? And that's a pattern too. Even with a lot of these women too. You know what I mean? But we gonna run our time right now before we run into part two, because we gonna have a part two again. You know what I mean? We on this conversation and we gonna run it again on Thursday. All right. So tap in with us again at 8:30. We're gonna be here right early, and we talking about these here relationships and what in a black relationship, what that's supposed to look like and what it don't look like. All right. So I'll tap in with y'all on Thursday.
Hey, much love. Both of
Yes,
y'all.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Already.
Peace.